Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a chain burn test hand video. So I'm actually excited for this one because this is actually a Patreon request deck profile and test hand for Izzy. So I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys because this is a very interesting deck in the way that it actually plays and the way that chain burn has actually evolved over the years with just a couple of cards being released is really amazing. So I'm really excited to bring the test hands to you guys today because it's a really amazing, cool deck that actually summons out Dragoons with the greatest of ease and uses Dragoons as a centralized piece of the burn deck strategy. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, just like Izzy did, for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name searched in every single video, getting a signed card to the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile with test hands every single month to your patron, which is awesome. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So this deck is really, really weird and really cool. I think it's probably one of the weirder versions of chain burn that I've actually built, because originally I was gonna go with something that played like 3 Balance of Judgments and just was like a solid set 5 pass and then just go. And then I was like, no. I want my opponent to look like Goblin Slayer when I start playing. So I wanted to go with something really weird, so I threw Dragoons in here and then started playing with it, and it actually worked really well. I mean, how could it not with Dragoons? But hey, whatever. But it's a really cool build for this, and so I'm actually excited to show you guys this. And definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below for requesting this one, because this one's crazy. This one's a mean one. So we're gonna go really quickly pile shuffle the deck, because you guys know it is dad rule number 1 to always pile shuffle your deck before you even duel or before you do a test hand. You've got to pile shuffle the deck, and we're gonna go ahead and do that really quick, and then we are gonna get straight on into actually playing with the deck. And it is a 41 card build because I threw Chain Strike in here to make it 41. If there's anything that you want to drop, you can drop 1 card, but I don't feel like it's necessary in this particular deck because you're not looking for ridiculous consistency with this particular build. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the deck, and we're probably gonna draw 5 traps. I'm gonna bet on it, just about. Red Eyes Black Dragon, I'm totally wrong. Marshmallow, oh god. Ceasefire, and a copy of Secret Blast. Okay, this is a pretty decent hand. It's very simplistic. You're probably going to do a lot of test hands in this video, probably like 10 maybe. But let me get some dice really quick for you guys, because we're going to definitely need some dice for some life point counters against our opponent, because we're just going to need all of those against the opponent, because we're going to have to calculate a lot. So we're going to go ahead in a simple test hand. Our simple opening for this is it's really ridiculously simple to play this deck. If you're going second, you're going to draw into a copy of Card of Demise, which is not going to be super helpful with this particular hand, but you still would get a draw 2 off of this hand, because you're going to set the copy of Marshmallow, and then once you set the copy of Marshmallow, you're just going to set your copies of your 3 cards face down, and then once you set your copies of your 3 cards face down, you're going to pass to your opponent. When you pass to your opponent, they're going to go on their turn, and whatever they control on their side of the field, when you feel like they've hit the peak, usually it's in the middle of their battle phase that you're going to start activating your cards. You're going to go ahead and activate your copy of Secret Blast, which has the ability that you inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent for each card they control. So you want to make sure that they control the most amount of cards with your copy of Secret Blast. Same thing with Ceasefire and your other copy of Ceasefire. You might want to wait until after they attack into the copy of Marshmallow, because if you flip the copy of Marshmallow face up, they won't take the 1,000 points of damage from attacking into this. So you might want to leave it set until after they attack. That is one really important thing about this deck. Don't reveal that it's a burn deck until after they've done their first attack, is my usual rule of thumb. Because if they attack into a copy of like Marshmallow, they're going to take 1,000 points of damage, which I'm just going to use the 1 as 1,000 points of damage reference point. We're going to use the 1s and the 5s, because that's usually how this deck actually works, is in 1s and 5s. So they're going to take 1,000 points off of this. And then let's say, for example, they have 3 monsters on their field. You hit them with a copy of the Ceasefire and the second copy of Ceasefire, and that's going to be 3,000 more damage right off the bat, because it's going to inflict an additional 2,000 or 1,500 points for each one of the Ceasefires. And then the Secret Blast, if they have a set card on their field or 2 set cards on their field, when you activate this card, that can be another 1,500, upwards of 1,500 points that they're going to take just off of this back row that they're taking already right there, 5,000 points of damage, 5,500 points of damage just with this one particular hand. And your recovery is really good as well, because if you draw into the copy of Card of Demise and they can't out this, even if it just stalls them through the battle phase where they can't deal with it during the battle phase and they swing into this unknowing of what it is, and you go to your next turn and you Card of Demise with one card in your hand, you're going to be able to draw into a Wave Motion Cannon and a copy of Magic Cylinders. So at this point, you can set your copy of Magic Cylinders, activate the copy of Wave Motion Cannon, and then this is going to be getting counters every single standby phase that you have on your turn. Not your opponent's standby phases, but your standby phases. And if they out this, they're already at 5,500 lost. If they didn't pay any life points of their own, and they attack you directly with anything, you can flip your copy of Magic Cylinders. If they have 2,500 attack points on a monster, you instantly win with the Magic Cylinders, which is hilarious to end a game in 2021 with Magic Cylinder. So let's go ahead into the next game. Let me slide these dice over to the side really quick, flip this one back over. And we're going to go ahead and get into the next one. I really like these dice. I really hope that they keep doing those, because those are really nice to have. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one and see what we can pull off. If you top deck Red Eyes Fusion with like 4 back row, you're fine. Like, you've probably won at that point, because you're going to be able to pop for 2. And this deck can go first or second. It doesn't matter. You don't mind if you win turn 3. It doesn't matter. Getting the 6th card just means another burn card in the back row. So it's totally fine to be able to go second. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. So for the next one, we're going to draw a Pot of Extravagance, a copy of Magic Cylinder, because they're not going to expect the second one, a copy of Just Desserts, another copy of Just Desserts, and a second copy of Pot of Extravagance if you're going second. But if we're not going second, we're just going to have this, and you're going to go ahead and immediately Pot of Extravagance your opponent. Go ahead and make sure that you shuffle it. And the reason I actually built the extra deck like this was because I wanted to make sure that I didn't hit the copy of Dragoons, or all 3 copies of Dragoons was very important. If you hit it, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We hit 2 copies of our Dragoons, which is not the worst in the world, but it's not the greatest, because you can actually summon double Dragoons, which is a little unfortunate, but it's still okay. And then we get to draw 2 off the top of the deck, which is a Red Eyes Fusion and a copy of Extravagance, which this is what's really important about this. You then can activate the copy of Red Eyes Fusion, which is, you guys all know this play, using a copy of Dark Magician and then using a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon in the deck with your copy of Red Eyes Fusion. The majority of people use this with Anaconda now, but since I play 3 in the deck, it's just really easy to summon it this way. And then you're going to immediately summon out your copy of Dragoons. Now, your opponent's not going to really know at this point what you're playing, because a lot of this game is going to be a lot of mind games until you get to your opponent's like turn, and you reveal that you play Just Desserts, and then they're going to be like, oh, I know what you're playing. So you're going to hold on to that Extravagance, and you're going to set 4, because you can use the copy of Extravagance as your discard, and you're going to set 4 and you're going to pass, because this is what the deck does. It does it every single time. You're going to set 4 and you're going to pass. Set 4, summon Dragoons, pass. This is what the deck does. This is how it actually plays, and it's really well done the way that you build this deck, because if your opponent activates anything that's going to hurt your back row, you have the copy of Extravagance that you can discard to the graveyard with your copy of Dragoons. If they try and attack through the Dragoons with anything, Utopia double, anything, it doesn't matter. If it's bigger than the Dragoons, you just immediately go, oh, Magic Cylinder, I'm gonna negate that, because you can use the copy of Magic Cylinder when they attack through the Dragoons and target the opponent's monster, as long as it can be targeted, and be able to stop that monster from attacking, and they're going to take the damage. And then when they pass during the next turn, you pop whatever it is and you insta-win. So you can pretty much win if they try and punch through the Dragoons at 4,000. You know it's going to be at least 4,000 attack points that they're going to attack into the Dragoons with to at least crash into it, or they're going to attack over it, but the copy of Magic Cylinders is going to be able to protect it to be able to stop the play, which is kind of neat that you can use an older card like this, and if they try twice, you have the second one to hit them with, which is funny. You also have the copies of Just Desserts set, which has the ability that for each, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each monster your opponent has on the field. So if they have 3 or 4 monsters on their side of the field trying to out the Dragoons, you're going to do at least 2,000 damage per card, which is going to be pretty crazy if they try and attack through with the copy of Magic Cylinders. I have won a single game off of this card where they just attacked and I instantly flipped it, where they had something like Utopia double or something against me, and I was just like, ah, Magic Cylinder, haha. And they were like, oh, well, that just happened. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle it up and see what we can do for the next one. Like I said, guys, this deck is very simplistic in what you're trying to do. It's a lot of just set 4, set 5, pass, summon Dragoons, set 5, pass. It's pretty easy to understand what you're trying to do with this deck and do the maximum amount of damage. You're basically, basically what you're trying to do against your opponent is you're trying to watch them to see how many cards that they're going to be able to get a hold of, to be able to chain your cards, to be able to get more effects off and do more damage. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. We're going to immediately draw into Red Eyes Fusion. This is great. Copy of Secret Barrel, another Secret Barrel, Yugioh the Time Lord, and a Magic Cylinder. And if we go second, just showing you guys, we're going to get a copy of Ceasefire, which is pretty good that we basically got 4 sets off the going second. But we're going to immediately Red Eyes Fusion. If our opponent blocks it, it's okay. We still have the Magic Cylinders to kind of protect us from at least one attack to hopefully not get OTK'd and surprise them. But you're going to immediately summon the copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You can't normal summon the Yugioh to your side of the field. It's totally up to you which one you feel a little bit more safe of. Depending on what you know that your opponent's playing, you can either activate the Red Eyes Fusion or normal summon the Yugioh, depending on what you feel like you need. But you're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. You're going to just send your copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon and your copy of Dark Magician to the graveyard. And once you send those two to the graveyard, you're going to immediately summon the copy of Dragoons to your field. And then, depending on if you're going first or second, you're going to get the pop cards, or you're going to get your opponent to just pass with setting the 3 face down. If they do destroy the copy of Dragoons and you do have a little bit of a problem, you have the Yugioh for next turn to half your opponent's life points. But you also have the Secret Barrels that even at their draw phase, or their standby phase, they're going to do 1,200 each, which is pretty good because that's 2,400 damage right there. That's like an Inferno Fire Blast to the face. And then we have a copy of the Magic Cylinder that if they try and attack through this, they're going to get whatever damage they have, which is going to be at least 3,000 or more. 4,000 if I do a negate with my copy of my Yugioh and Dragoons on the field, which is pretty good because you can just discard this and negate the effect with your Dragoons, and it goes up to 4,000, which is pretty good. And then if they leave anything in attack position with the Dragoons on the field and double Secret Barrel, you're pretty much going to win because you're going to pop it and then swing directly for the OTK. If they can't out this basically turn 1, you win, which is what's really cool, which is actually the case for the majority of, you know, Dragoons decks. But hey, it's still pretty good. It works insanely good. As you guys can see, we haven't had a dead hand at all. Like, you won't get dead hands with this deck. Every time you're going to inflict at least 6,000 like damage to your opponent, and have the potential to do at least 6,000 to 8,000 damage to your opponent, depending on the hand, unless you open up like a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, and a Dragoon, or Red Eyes Fusion, and a Magical Eyes Fusion, and then a Pot of Extravagance. And even then, with the Pot of Extravagance, you'll be able to draw, which is pretty good, and you'll still have the copy of Dragoons, so you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one, and see what we can pull off for the next one, because this deck it's really weird and really fun. So we're going to draw into a Magical Eyes Fusion. Oh no, is it going to happen? Oh no, is it going to happen? Oh no. I almost predicted that hand 1-for-1. Wow, that's insane. Okay, so we do get a kind of dead hand. I mean, that's about as dead as your hand can get in this deck. You're gonna get a Wave Motion Cannon and you'll get a Secret Barrel, but that's about it in this hand because your Magical Eyes Fusion doesn't let you banish from hand. It only lets you banish from field and grave. So you draw into the copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon and the Dark Magician, so you have a little bit of a problem there, but you have the Wave Motion Cannon and the Secret Barrel, so as long as you don't get OTK'd, if you draw for next turn, you're gonna get the Ojama Trio, and that will be a bust. That will be your first bust hand of this deck, which is why it is very important to make sure that when you're playing this deck, you don't have instances like that where like 2 of your Dark Magicians are stuck together and you draw multiple copies of cards like that. It happens because you didn't pile shuffle the deck, or you didn't do something else where you just pile shuffle to make sure that you're not going to get cards like that together. And in between games, I will mention you guys too, flip through the deck. Make sure that your Dark Magician in between games is not stuck. Like, if you make sure that it's not stuck, you're probably going to be okay. So let's go ahead and see. We're going to draw into a Yugioh the Time Lord, Dark Magician, Marshmallow, Magic Cylinder, and a copy of Morphing Jar. So this is probably the least burn hand I've had so far, but it's still okay because we have the copy of Marshmallow and we have this copy of the Magic Cylinder, we can actually outlast our opponent a little bit by just normal summoning the copy of Mikeon and then setting the copy of Magic Cylinder is just fine, because your opponent's going to have a hard time dealing with this card, and they're going to just think you're playing Time Lords, and it halves your opponent's life points as well. So if they do attack into this, or you attack them going second, if you're going second, you're going to draw into the Extravagance, which is also going to get you 2 more cards, which is the copy of Ceasefire and Red Eyes Black Dragon, which isn't terrible, because the copy of the Ceasefire can set to do a little bit more damage, but you're going to half your opponent's life points off of the copy of the Mikeon, which is really, really good to just half the life points. And even if they don't attack into this, it's going to protect you to put it back in the deck during the next standby phase, shuffle the deck up, and then you get to draw a card as well, so it kind of stalls out a little bit where you're not going to get hit for an OTK unless they can completely destroy the card or remove it from the field. We then are going to draw for our next turn, which we're going to draw into Magical Eyes Fusion, which isn't the greatest, but you have the copy of Marshmallow that you can set, and you also have the copy of Magic Cylinders that you can hit your opponent with. If you hit them with the Magic Cylinders, you can really kind of mess them up, because they're going to think, oh, I get a Magic Cylinders and I get a Marshmallow later. Like, you're going to block 2 attacks at least with this, so you're going to be able to protect yourself a little bit. And then if you go into the next turn, you can draw into your copy of Secret Barrel, which is going to be really helpful to be able to draw into something like Secret Barrel, because you're going to have additional plays with that to be able to go off with more burn, which is really good. This is a little bit of a slower hand, but it does come up like this. You can normal summon the copy of Morphing Jar and link these together for an Anaconda, which is what I mentioned in the deck profile, which if you guys want to check that out, it is down in the description below where you can link these 2 away if you do want to normal summon it out. And then go ahead into your copy of Anaconda and then use Anaconda's effect to be able to send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of Red Eyes Fusion, and then you get to send to the graveyard your copy of Dark Magician and a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon, and then you get to summon Dragoons this way and then burn your opponent out, and you have the Magical Eyes Fusion that you can't activate this turn, but the following turn when you draw into your next turn for the Ojama Trio, you can then use your copy of Magical Eyes Fusion with your copy of your Red Eyes and your copy of Dark Magician to summon out another copy of Dragoons. Even if your opponent blows this board, you still have the second copy of Dragoons that can follow it out, which is pretty good. And seeing as how you did that, you can use the copy of Anaconda if they don't destroy it because you protected it for anyway with your copy of Dragoons, or they just didn't want to risk the Dragoons. You can use your copy of Anaconda to be able to use Red Eyes Fusion again to be able to summon a third copy of Dragoons. Yeah, it did come out on turn like 5 or 6, but it's okay because you still got 3 Dragoons on your field, and it's like, okay, that's pretty nuts. So you can triple Dragoons in this deck, in this burn deck, which is really, really wacky that you can actually do that. It does take a little bit of setup, but as long as you can like set a Marshmallow and then have a normal summon in hand, you're fine. Like, you can still do it, especially if they can't get through the Anaconda, but it's usually not going to take that much to OTK your opponent. So let's do one more test hand and see what we can get for one more test hand. I've had hands that I opened up, like the craziest hand that I opened up was 3 copies of Wave Motion Cannon, a Red Eyes Fusion, and then 1 other burn card. I think it was an Extravagance, and then drew into 2 burn cards. And I was like, okay, I see you. That's crazy, because your copies of your Wave Motion Cannons are going to each get a token, and then your Dragoons can do burn damage. So you're probably going to win on the very next turn. And I had a negate in hand too, because I just kept my Pot of Extravagance or whatever 1 burn card I had too. It was just really, really good. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. For the next one, go ahead and cut the deck, and we're going to draw into a copy of our Ceasefire. We're going to draw into a copy of Marshmallow, Ojama Trio, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and a copy of Mikeon. This is not bad at all. You can just normal summon out the copy of Mikeon and set the copy of Ojama Trio and Ceasefire on the field, and then keep these in your hand. You can also, if you're going second, get a copy of Just Desserts. So it's kind of up to you which way you go. And if your opponent, this card is really good going second, because you can attack into your opponent and it'll half their life points, which is really nice. So the Mikeon's really powerful because it's just going to immediately drop them to 4,000 life points. And then if you had the copy of Just Desserts and set it and then let your opponent go, you can activate the copy of, say, Ceasefire, which is going to do at least 500, the copy of Just Desserts, and then chain third your copy of Ojama Trio, which is going to give them 3 tokens on their side of the field, and then your copy of Just Desserts is going to do 15, and then if they have any other monsters on the field, then the copy of your Ceasefire is going to do an additional 5 or so, which is going to be really good too. And then you can also, during the next turn, set the copy of Marshmallow, and this is going to shuffle itself back, and you're going to draw into another Ojama Trio. And then they're going to attack into this, and you're probably going to win at that point because they've already done so much damage to themselves. So it's a really fun deck to play with. I highly recommend you guys want to play with a burn deck. This is probably going to be one of the better ways to do it. I will mention you guys too, if you want to drop a single copy, if you don't feel like you want to go for like double Dragoons in this deck like I do, you can drop a single copy of Dark Magician and a single copy of Red Eyes in this build. Like I play 2 of each of these in the build, which you guys can check out in the deck profile. You can drop these, and you can drop a copy of any one of your burn cards, like a copy. You could drop Chain Strike if you want to drop Chain Strike, and play 3 copies of Balance of Judgment, and it would help you out drawing cards in the deck a little bit, which is an option for you guys if you want to do that as well. Let's go ahead and draw one more time and just see what we can do for one more test hand. Let's do one last one, just see what we can do. So we're going to draw into a copy of Extravagance, Wave Motion, Extravagance, Ceasefire, and Just Desserts. And the Extravagance is going to go off. We're going to shuffle this really quick so we don't hit all 3 Dragoons, which would be very unfortunate. Make sure they're in different places. And then shuffle the deck up, and then go ahead and banish 6 right there. And we're going to go ahead and just see what we hit. So we're going to hit a single 2 copies of Dragoons again, which is fine. And we're going to go ahead and draw 2, which you have a pretty good hand because you're going to be able to drop the copy of Wave Motion, set the copy of Marshmallow, and then set 3 burn cards in the back row. And then when your opponent attacks into you, you have the copy of Ceasefire, Magic Cylinder, and the copy of Just Desserts. And then when you go into your next turn, you're going to draw into a Just Desserts, and then you can drop your copy of your Extravagance, which you're going to shuffle again the extra deck and hopefully not hit the copy of Dragoons because that would suck. And you're going to drop 6 more. I mean, at this point, it doesn't super matter if you hit the Dragoons, which we did hit the Dragoons. It's fine. It's not the end of the world if you hit it. And you're going to draw 2, and you're going to draw into these burn cards as well, which is going to get you even more advantage to be able to set more of them in the back row where your opponent is going to be able to attack into you or drop more cards on the field to try and deal with you, and you just put more on the field. Like you refreshed your entire hand and got 3 more, and this is going to have 1 to be able to burn your opponent for 1 counter, which is really nice. So I think that one's going to be it for this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below because this is a wild deck. Like I really had fun building this to see which way I could actually like wiggle to build this deck. And it's really fun. Like, it's really weird to just see how many, like, counters you can put on Wave Motion cannons and be able to just summon Dragoons to your opponent's side of the field and make them look all like Goblin Slayer when they're mad and stuff. It's really funny. I love playing this deck. It's really funny to take this one out and duel people. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.